Hi there, I'm your math help tutor, and today we are going to learn about multiplication using the grid method with two-digit multipliers. So let's say we are multiplying 16 by 12 times. Instead of using the area method, which will take a long time for us to do, we can use the other method called the grid method. Let me first show you the area method, and then we are going to do the grid method beside it. So over here, we are going to do the area method, and then over here, we're going to use the grid method. So using the area method, we draw a rectangle that has a size of 16 by 12 squares. And then we count the total number of squares inside the rectangle that we have created. So let me just draw a rectangle here that has 16 squares as its length and 12 squares for its height. So let me just draw the lines here. And what we are creating is we're trying to draw the squares inside this rectangle, which is 16 squares by 12 squares high. Then after we do all of this, we're going to count all the squares inside this rectangle. So you see, using the area method requires us a lot of work. Okay, we are nearly done here and we are done. So we were able to draw a rectangle that is 16 squares long and 12 squares high. So if we count all the squares inside this rectangle, which we are not going to do right now because it's going to take us a long time, what we're going to find out is there are 192 squares inside this rectangle. So what that means is 16 times 12 is equal to 192. And using the area method, in order to find this answer, we have to count all these squares one by one until we finally count 192 squares. And that's going to take a long time to do. Now let's do the grid method. To use the grid method, we just draw a rectangle that's similar to what we did in the area method. So let me just draw a rectangle here that's close to what we did in the area method. And this rectangle also has a length of 16 squares and a height of 12 squares. Now instead of drawing all the squares inside this rectangle, we are going to draw regions using the places and values of our numbers that we're multiplying. So what we do is we convert these numbers into their expanded form. So 16 becomes 10 plus 6, and 12 becomes 10 plus 2. Next, we are going to draw regions in this rectangle that represent the different place and place values of our numbers. So let's say this region represents the rectangle that has a length of 10 and a length of 6. And then this region over here, I'm going to draw a line, represents a rectangle that has a height of 10 and a height of 2. So the new rectangle looks like this, which has sides of 10 and 6 and 10 plus 2. And we have drawn regions based on the places like tens and 1. After that, we can multiply the lengths of the sides of the rectangle per region to know the area of each of the regions, or how many squares there are in each region. So to get the area of this region, that's just 10 times 10, which is 100. To get the area or number of squares in this region, you just have to multiply 6 by 10, which is equal to 60. To get the area of this region, you just multiply 10 and 2, which is 20. And to get the area of this region, we just multiply 6 and 2, which is 12. So now that we know the area of each of the regions, to get the total area, or to get the total number of squares in this big rectangle, what we do is we just add all the areas. So that's 100 plus 60 plus 20 plus 12. And then we're going to use the standard algorithm to add all these numbers. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 plus 6 plus 2 plus 1 is 9. And 1 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 1. So we get the answer of 192. So using the grid method, we could know without that much work as compared to the area method that 16 times 12 is equal to 192. Now again, the grid method is just like the area method. The only thing is that it's just a lot easier to do the grid method as compared to the area method. So if we create regions in our rectangle that has its squares inside of it drawn, so we're just going to create the regions in the rectangle of the area method, similar to what we have on the grid method's rectangle. So this region has 6 squares in length, and it also has 10 squares in length for this side of that region, of that rectangle. And then let's draw another region here representing the 2, which is the height of this region over here. And then this part of this rectangle would have a height of 10. Now, if you count all the squares in each of these regions, in this region, you're going to have 100 squares. In this region, you're going to have 60 squares, just like the ones we got in the grid method. In this region, you're going to have 20 squares, just like this one. And in this region, you would find that there are 12 squares, just like this one. So again, the grid method is very convenient since there is no need for us to draw up many squares and then count each square individually, because we can accurately find out the area of each region by just simply multiplying the length of the different rectangles formed during the decomposition of the numbers that we are multiplying. Let's try another example. Let's try to multiply 142 by 14. Now you can just imagine again how long it's going to take us if we are going to use the area method, because we would have to draw so many squares. We'd have to create a rectangle which has a length of 142 and a height of 14, and it's going to take us all day probably if we're going to count all the squares in that rectangle, right? But since we know that the result of the area method can simply be replicated easily using the grid method, we can just do the simpler way. So to solve this problem using the grid method, we are going to create a rectangle that has a length of 142 and a height of 14. Next, what we do is we decompose the numbers that we are multiplying. So if we decompose 142, or we write the expanded form, 142 is 100 plus 40 plus 2. And 14 is equal to 10 plus 4. So let's go ahead and change these numbers and write their expanded forms. 100 plus 40 plus 2. And then 14 becomes 10 plus 4. After that, we separate this rectangle into different regions depending on the place of the numbers, like hundreds, tens, and ones. So let's go ahead and draw the different regions. So this region has a length of 100, this one has a length of 40, and this one has a length of 2. And let's draw up the other region. So this region has a height of 10, and this region has a height of 4. After doing that, we get the area of each smaller rectangle, or each region that we have created, by multiplying the length of its sides. So to get the area, or the number of squares in this region, we just multiply 100 by 10, which is equal to 1000. The area in this region is 40 times 10, which is equal to 400. The area of this region is 2 times 10, that's 2 times 10, which is 20. The area of this region is 100 times 4, which is equal to 400. The area in this region is equal to 40 times 4, which is equal to 160. And the area in this region is 4 times 2, which is equal to 8. So to get the total area of all these rectangles, or for this whole big rectangle, what we do is we just add all the areas, or all the number of squares in each region. So we write the area over this side as 1000, this one, plus 400, this one, plus 20, this one, plus 400, plus 160, plus 8. Then let's put a line, and we are going to perform addition using the standard algorithm. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 8 is 8. 0 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0 plus 6 is another 8. 0 plus 4 plus 0 plus 4 plus 1 is 9. And 1 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 1. So the answer to the question 142 times 14 using the grid method is 1988. See, we didn't need to draw up all those squares and then count all those squares one by one when using the area method, because we have a way of doing it using an easier method, which is the grid method. Now it's time for interesting fact time. Have you observed in our example that multiplication of multi-digit numbers is actually just adding the results of the multiplication of each value of each place of the numbers being multiplied? Let me explain this further. So again, if we multiply 142 and 14 using the grid method, first, let's draw the rectangle. And our rectangle would have a length of 142, which when written in expanded form is 100 plus 40 plus 2. And it has a height of 14, which when written in its expanded form is 10 plus 4. And then we draw the regions. And then we get the area of each region. So this is 100 times 10, that's 1,000. 40 times 10 is 400. 2 times 10 is 20. 100 times 4 is 400. 40 times 4 is 160. And 4 times 2 is 8. So if you're going to observe, there's sort of like a distribution happening over here. Now, so that you can see this clearly, I'm going to write the numbers that we're multiplying in line. That's 142 times 14. I'm going to convert these numbers into their expanded form. That's 100 plus 40 plus 2. Let's put a parenthesis here so that you know that this whole set of numbers is just equal to 142, and this is the multiplication sign, and then we have the expanded form of 14 over here. That's 10 plus 4. Let's put a parenthesis so that you know that this is just equal to 14. So you're going to notice that in the grid method, we're distributing the different parts of this number and multiplying them to each part of the other number. So for 100 times 10, we have this region. For 100 times 4, we have this region. For 40 times 10, we have this region. For 40 times 4, we have this region. And then for 2 times 10, we have this region, and for 2 times 4, we have this region. Now, another way to see this distribution of multiplication of the different parts of the numbers is when we write these numbers in column. So let's say we are multiplying 142 times 14. Okay, so we can write it this way. That's 100 plus 40 plus 2 multiplied by 10 plus 4. So this is 142 and this is 14. So if we distribute the multiplication of each of these numbers to each of the parts of the number below, you're going to see that it's just the same thing as what's happening in the grid method. So for 2 times 4, we have 2 times 4, is this region, and the answer is 8. For 40 times 4, 40 times 4 is this region, and the answer is 160. Let's put a plus here since we add all the areas in our rectangle. And then for 100 times 4, which is this region, the answer is 400. Let's put a plus here. Next is we have 2 times 10, which is this region over here, and the answer is 20. Let's put a 20 over here. And then for 40 times 10, which is this region, and we have an answer of 400. And then for 100 times 10, which is this region, we have an answer of 1000. So this, which is the parts of the first number multiplied by the first part of the second number, if we add all this up, we get 568, right? This is like 400 plus 160 plus 8. That's 8, 6, and 5, 568. And then if we add all this up, that's 1,420. Adding these numbers up, we get 8, 8, 9, and 1, which is also the answer to 142 times 14. That is 1,988. So I want you to keep these facts in mind because these are exactly the concepts that we are going to be using for the next lesson, which is multiplying numbers using the standard algorithm. Now let's review what we learned. You can pause the video if you need more time to answer the questions. Let's begin. Use the grid method to find the answer to 395 times 11. The answer is 4,345. So how did we arrive at this number? Using the grid method, what we do is we create a rectangle which has the length of 395 and the height of 11, which are the numbers that we are multiplying. And then we decompose these numbers into their places. So 395 becomes 300 plus 90 plus 5. And 11 becomes 10 and 1. And then we draw up the regions based on the places. And then we get the area of each smaller rectangle. So 300 times 10 is 3,000. 900 times 10 is 900. 5 times 10 is 50. 300 times 1 is 300. 90 times 1 is 90. And 5 times 1 is 5. So what we do is we just add all these numbers, which are the area of each of the smaller regions, to find out the area of the whole rectangle. So that's 3,000 plus 900 is 3,000 plus 900 plus 50 plus 300 plus 90 plus 5. And we use the standard algorithm to add all these numbers up. So that's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 plus 5, that's 5. And then we have 0, 0 plus 5 plus 9, which is 14. And then we have 9 plus 3 plus 1, which is 13. And then we have 3 plus 1 plus 0, which gives us 4. So our answer is 4,345, which is the answer to 395 times 11. And that's it for now. Remember to keep on practicing your math skills with our sample exercises and workbooks. See you then. Visit mathhelptutor.com to improve your math skills and your math test scores today. You can do this through your unlimited access to all our math lessons, practice quizzes, and workbooks. You can also schedule a one-on-one tutorial session with us today. Check out the links below this video to see how you can support us if you found this video helpful. Of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video and this channel to your friends and family who might need this. See you soon!